All right. Okay, so hi everyone. Good evening. I'm so happy to see all of you today. So, welcome to the General Evaluator Workshop. All right. For tonight, we have our speaker today. Ting will be the speaker who will be sharing about more about general evaluator. So tonight we will look into basically the main aspect that we're gonna look into is on how to understand the true role of a general evaluator. Basically, this is my first time attending general evaluator workshop, and I believe that something that mutual among us is to know more on basic role of a general evaluator on how to prepare ourselves, perhaps before, while, and post meeting when we carry out the general evaluator role. And then while we are giving our evaluation as a general evaluator, what are the things to look into? Are the aspects for us to give our thought and comments on? All right. And how to make it a smooth delivery of evaluation. Okay, I'm looking forward, maybe perhaps the structure of delivering an evaluation as a general evaluator. I myself personally have only a couple of experiences becoming a general evaluator, and I'd say that it's a different experience than evaluating speeches. Hence, although I've watched many general evaluator giving out evaluation, but it would be great if I could learn more into it and prepare better after this workshop. All right. So um, without further ado, I'd like to invite our today's speaker, which is Ting. She joined Toastmaster International in 2021. Basically, she just told me that she has served in Toastmaster International, taking up the role as a VPE, president, and also mentor in her club. And I believe there's more than that because I saw her actively serve in many contests, in many important events in Toastmaster International in KL. So I believe she is someone who is well experienced, have a deep knowledge about general evaluator, and I truly appreciate her time to be here and share what she knows, what she learned so far in Toastmaster as a general evaluator. All right, fellow Toastmasters, I would like to invite our speaker for tonight, Ting.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Aina, for that generous and wonderful introduction. So, good evening, everyone, and thank you very much for attending this workshop. And giving us your time to hear about more about being a general evaluator. Now, but before this, I would just like to say that yes, I have some experience in being a general evaluator, but I am by no means an expert. And I'm just here to share my experience, my insights, and I'm also here to learn from you as well. So please do take this as an opportunity for us to learn from each other. And we can definitely, if you have any questions, I will try my best to share what I know with you. And but before I start my presentation, maybe can I just have raise a show of hands? How many of you have performed the role as a general evaluator? Can I just have a show of hands? Okay, Wei Kang, Hesman, Arifa, okay, Rosaline. So it looks like everyone here has been a general evaluator before. Okay, how many of you have been a general evaluator for say more than 5 times? More than 5 times. Okay, so I think it looks like roughly okay, Arifa. Arifa, okay. All right, so maybe okay, so it looks like we are a relatively new set of general evaluators, okay? So no worries, but at least you have some understanding or experience of what being a general evaluator is, and I'm here to just sort of share with you in terms of what are some of the the learnings and the insights that I try to take away when I act as a general evaluator. Okay, so let me just start off with the basics in terms of what is the role of the general evaluator. Why do we have this GE role? So the GE, what she does is that she evaluates everything that takes place throughout the meeting, right? So she's something like the quality control officer, right? She needs to QC this meeting to see, how is the club meeting being conducted. She's responsible for the evaluation team, which consists of the timer, the grammarian, the R counter, the speech evaluators, and the table topic evaluator. So the GE does not work alone, right? She has a team of role players to help her to give feedback, to give evaluation to the role players and to the speakers, right? And she will, when the time comes for the evaluation session to start, she leads the evaluation session and she will call upon these various role players to provide their feedback and deliver their report. She will also evaluate, each participant on the meeting program and look for good examples of preparation, organization, delivery, enthusiasm, observation, and performance of duties. So she's really sitting there, closely watching how everyone participates in the meeting or who doesn't participate in the meeting. And she doesn't just, she's not just looking out for what you didn't do, but also what you did well, right? She is also meant to encourage you, to point out, to validate some of the good practices of the club. Right, so there's a lot going on. Being a general evaluator is not easy because she has to see everything from end to end. So that's why whenever I'm invited to act as a general evaluator, I always make sure the night before that I have a good night's sleep, and make sure that before the meeting I will at least have enough to drink, have enough to eat, because I have to be 100% focused when I'm at the club meeting, and I want to be able to give the best, the highest level of my energy as a sign of respect to the club. Okay, next up, so that is the role of the general evaluator. But who can be a GE? So in my opinion, a GE, it can be anyone, but there are some three key criteria that I would consider to be very important for consideration. One is that she should be familiar with all the meeting roles, right? So that this person should be reasonably experienced, has taken on, has delivered a speech, acted as an evaluator, grammarian, timer, R counter, and has done it a few times, right? So typically, I would imagine that this person would at least be with an active club member for at least 6 months, right? And actively taking up all these roles and delivering speeches, because you need to know what it feels like to deliver a speech or to take up a role, so that then you can give advice, right? You can give ideas and suggestions on how to improve, and what good looks like, right? So it's really important that the general evaluator is familiar with all the meeting roles of a club meeting. And secondly is that she is able to add value to everyone in the meeting. So the role of the general evaluator is that she's really important. She's meant to give fresh perspective, and oftentimes it's external from the club, right? She's a different member of the club, so she's coming here to give a fresh perspective, here to sort of like share something that maybe some of us would not have realized because we're so close to the meeting, to the club, right? That you want someone to give you a third party perspective and say, hey, you did this really well. This is really good. Your energy levels are so good. I really like your game session. This is really unique. You guys are really fun. So adding value to everyone in the meeting really, to me, means that everyone in the club meeting should feel like they took away something really valuable, really meaningful from you. And that is what is so impactful about being a general evaluator, right? The power of your words, your energy can really have a really powerful impact to everyone at club meeting, because what you say, how you act, how you smile, how you motivate others, right? It really has to add value to everyone. Everyone should feel like, hey, I really had a great meeting today. I really did something well. I really learned something today, right? And of course, you're willing to share fresh, sincere perspectives with others, right? You are not there to be a teacher. You're not there to, act as a police officer. You're there as a friend, as a very friendly Toastmaster friend, and you are really sincere. You really want to come here and help others to shine, help others to reach their potential. So really, these are some of the key characteristics I will feel that you should consider when you're inviting someone to be a general evaluator. Are they familiar with the meeting roles? Do they add value, and are they sincere? And if they are, then I think you've got a really good general evaluator with you. Now, for some of you who told me that you have acted as a GE before, but less than 5 times, I'm here to encourage you, to motivate you, to really nudge you to continue to do more of this role, because it really will strengthen your critical thinking and observation skills, right? No other role player in a Toastmasters meeting has to work as hard as you, okay? You'll have to listen the moment before the meeting starts, right till the end. You have to watch, right? You have to be watchful. You have to see, you have to observe how everyone is doing or not doing. And you have to be able to think, how can I improve this club meeting? How can I share my suggestions? How can I offer some words of wisdom, right, to this club? And you don't really have a lot of time, right? The meeting could be 2 to 3 hours long. Usually there's only a 5-minute break in between, and right after all the role players have delivered their report, it's your turn to deliver your GE report to everyone. So you don't really have a lot of time, and you really need to, be really sharp, right, from the get-go, right? So this is something that I would highly encourage you to think about, because if you can strengthen your critical thinking and observation skills, think about how powerful, how influential you can be outside of Toastmasters, right? When you are in the office, your boss is talking, your colleagues are talking, you are there able to very quickly connect the dots between the two and offer some suggestions that other people in the room may not have spotted, and that could potentially elevate your career further. Secondly is you will also learn to speak your mind eloquently. Right? How many times some of you here, you feel like, there's something not right. There's something really good here, right? You feel it. There's some energy that you really want to share, but you're not able to articulate your words. Being a general evaluator would train you to do that, to be able to speak your mind, right? So that people can understand where you're coming from and be positively influenced by what you have to say. So being a general evaluator is a really good training ground for you to be able to speak your mind eloquently, and from then on influence others to follow your insights, to follow your suggestions. And of course, if you're able to do that, you will definitely become a better leader, right? You're able to motivate and inspire others. And again, Toastmasters is such a brilliant platform because, let's be honest, we are all volunteers, right? Tamizi, he didn't pay me. He didn't pay me to deliver this workshop, but because he's such a great leader, right? He motivated me, he inspired me to deliver this workshop, right? And therefore, he's able, through the power of his words, his influence, he's able to bring people on board to deliver this workshop and many other events as you have seen in Division P. So think about it. If you're able to motivate others, right, and motivate others to do things for you without money, right, to volunteer their time, their energy for you, think about what you can do even more at work, right? When you are in a position of power, when you're in a position of higher influence, think about what you can achieve and how much more you can grow together as a team. So really, this is a fantastic starting point why you should be a general evaluator. You want to be a better leader, you want to be able to achieve greater results, start here first, right? Because here is a great place, it's a safe platform for you to really shine, so that you can shine others as well. Can I just gently remind, if you are not speaking, could you please kindly mute your sound, please, because it can be a little bit distracting. Okay. All right. So I've spoken about what is the role of a general evaluator, who can be a GE, and why you should be a general evaluator. So now let's get into the crux of the actual workshop, is to how to be a general evaluator. Now, I'm going to share 3 main tips or 3 main lessons that I try to remind myself every time I take up a role as a GE. The first lesson that I always tell myself is embrace differences, right? And what does this really mean? This means, to me, every club member and meeting is different, right? And the role of a general evaluator is very important, that they respect the club's unique culture, because every club is different. I'm from TMI KL. I'm not here to change your club to meet my standards or to become another TMI KL. Because to me, I feel that the world is big enough for all of us to be unique to be unique in our own right, right? The more diverse we are, the more culturally different we are, the stronger we are, right? Because I really believe there is unity in diversity. So a GE is not there to sort of make you same, right? We are not here to be same. We can be similar, but uniquely different. So I would go in to respect the culture. So what does a club culture look like, right? A club could be, maybe they're a bit more chill, maybe they're a bit more serious, maybe this club has mostly young students, young university students who are more energetic. Maybe the club has their members are mostly more senior, older members, who may have a different persona. So every club is different, and therefore I would not try to change the club culture. In fact, I would say, okay, let me try to understand, right? To come from a place of understanding and say, what is this club's culture, and how can I help to elevate it further so that their culture can really shine even brighter, right? And if their culture shines brighter, then they can attract more of their own kind, and the club can thrive even more. Right? So that's for a club, right? The club culture. Then every member is different, right? So some members are very experienced, so they've delivered many speeches. They have taken on the role so many times, they can literally do the role, with their eyes closed. But for some newer members who just joined maybe 2 days ago, a month ago, everything could be very new. They could be very nervous. So maybe for members who are very nervous, maybe we wouldn't want to be too harsh. We wouldn't want to expect the same level of standard as someone who has been in Toastmasters for 10 years, right? So we need to embrace these differences and really just look at the club meeting, at how the club is going, really holistically, and really be there at the present moment and understand that, okay, this is what's happening. This is where the member is right here today. How can I help this member to be more confident, to be more self-assured, and really to encourage this member to keep coming back, right, to club meetings. And of course, every meeting is different. Some meetings are a bit more fun. Maybe the club is very creative and say, okay, today we're going to do a different thematic meeting. Maybe we'll do a humorous meeting where everything has to be humorous. Or maybe we will do a speakathon, or maybe we will do a joint club meeting, whatever it might be, right? So really, as a general evaluator, you may have some ideas, a checklist in your mind in terms of what you want to evaluate for, but really it's so important for us to be open-minded and just go in and say, what's happening here right now? What's happening here right now? What's special? What's unique? How can I validate this? How can I elevate it further? So really, that is the most key important thing. You are not here to change things. You are here to validate or elevate the club. Okay, so embrace differences. The second thing, which is also related, is to be sincere. Oftentimes, there are people who come to me and say, oh, I'm a lousy general evaluator. I don't know how to be a good general evaluator. I haven't been a Toastmaster long enough. And I always say to them, there is no such thing as a lousy general evaluator as long as you are sincere, as long as you come from a good place, right? Of course, you must be competent, and competent to develop competence, you should, as I said earlier, be familiar with all the club meeting roles, right? You need to have gone through all the meeting roles and know what it's like, the pain points, right, of taking up all the specific roles in a club meeting. So be competent first and foremost. But once you have developed that level of competence where you understand how a good club meeting is run, then just be friendly, right? You are a friend. You are here to share your experience, your insights, your ideas. So you provide specific, constructive, and kind feedback. And I want to dive in a little bit deeper about what I mean here. So it's very important for us to be specific, right? Because oftentimes I've seen some general evaluators, when they come to our club meeting, they say that, oh, that was a wonderful speech. Oh, that was a wonderful grammarian report. It was the best that I've ever heard. And I felt like, okay, I mean, no disrespect to that grammarian. She did a reasonably good job, but was it the best grammarian report in the world? I had my doubts, right? I have my doubts. So be specific. What do you really like about that speech or that particular role, the particular grammarian's report? You could say, "Oh, dear grammarian, I really liked how your report was very structured. You were very detailed. You caught some really good points throughout the speech. It shows that you have very good listening skills. And I liked how you were very kind in offering suggestions, improvements in terms of how we can improve our English grammar." So you want to be really specific, right? And why is that so important? Is so that the role player knows what she did well and what she could do better, right? Because then that means that she can take away and become a better grammarian the next round. So when you give a very general, high-level feedback, it's not very useful to the grammarian or to any other role player, because what value is it when you just say, "Oh, that was very good, well done, well done." But how was it well done? So really, that's where you have to apply your critical thinking skills and say, what do I really, really like about this speech or this role player? And what are some growth areas that I would encourage her to think about? So maybe for another example that I often use is the president's opening address. I would oftentimes would mention to the president, I really like how the energy was good, and how how the energy was strong, and how the president was able to speak very well in a structured manner, and was able to be very give very good examples to motivate his members. But then oftentimes I will also say that I will also remind the president it's important to set the tone of the meeting, especially when the president tends to just give very generic good morning or good evening, welcome, Toastmasters. Today we are here to have a very good meeting, and I hope all of you will just all of you will participate, without really setting the tone of the meeting in terms of what does he or she want, right, this club to take away, right? What can we expect from this club, right? So the president is really important that the president sets the tone for the meeting, and what that means, because once the president sets the tone well, then the others, right, within the club will follow his tone. So it's very important that he sets a high energy tone, right? So these are some of the suggestions that I often would give to the club. And of course, the second thing is we need to be constructive. Now, what this means is when, as a general evaluator, yes, you have to be kind, you have to be friendly and whatnot, but it cannot just be everything is good, right? There must be some areas of growth. Okay, that is because it is the areas of growth that will help us to learn, to improve, learn from our mistakes and become better. So it's really important that you have to really think deeply about how this club could do better, right? So you have to sort of offer some suggestions or recommendations. But in doing so, right, it's important that we don't be too criticizing, right? You don't just point out all the weaknesses in such a critical manner that it would demotivate the club, right? So there's really a fine balance between being critical and not criticizing, right? We want to show them that there are rooms for improvement, but we don't want to demotivate the club. That if you demotivate them so much that they may just give up and not bother to improve themselves. So it's so important as a general evaluator to really strike this fine balance. And for me, oftentimes I remind myself, as long as I'm sincere, right, I come from a good place, I'm able to strike this balance, right? Because I really try to sort of give that energy where I want to help you to become better. I have your interest in my heart, right? And I think sincerity is something that you can't fake it, right? If you are sincere, the club can feel it, and I think the club can take whatever suggestions you have to offer, and they can take it well, right? And of course, be kind. Especially if the club is new, or the members are new, obviously be kind to them, motivate them, encourage them that, there's always tomorrow, there's always the next club meeting, always encourage them to move forward, to learn from their mistakes, right? And also, and to be better, right? So this is really the second thing that I always try to remind myself. And of course, the third one, the most important thing, and also I feel this is really important, is that we as general evaluator, we have a role to play, and that is to raise standards, right? Yes, you want to be kind, you want to be motivating, you want to be inspiring, but you are also there to raise standards, right? Because you are a seasoned Toastmaster, right? You will have already done all the club meeting roles. You want to be a leader, right? And that is why you're in Toastmasters, right? Because you want to be a leader, and a leader raises standards. A leader raises the bar, right? They do not accept mediocrity. So really, again, tying back to the first 2 points, you really need to think deeply and critically about what are the areas of improvement, right? How can this club improve their meeting quality and performance? Because if we raise the bar for this club and all the clubs that we go to, right, we share our best practices in terms of how they can improve themselves, then think about the bigger group, right? That all the clubs around us will be better. Then we can continue to learn from each other, and then members will also grow. And that is how clubs within, Division P, within District 51 will then thrive, right? Because it starts with us as a general evaluator. When we step in, we say, I'm here to raise the bar. I'm here to help everyone here in this room to become better. Think about what a better place Toastmasters in Division P in District 51 would be if we come in with this mindset that we want to be better, right? And we'll be able to show the way in terms of how we can be better version of ourselves, right? It starts with us. It starts with us as being a general evaluator with this very strong determination that we do not accept mediocrity. We're here to become better. Today, this is how your club is. This is how your meeting is. Tomorrow, you're going to be better, because these are some of the suggestions that I have to offer for you. Okay, so these are the 3 key reminders that I give to myself, and something that I take away. And I always, receive very kind feedback from the clubs that I visited. And I think, this will be, if you forget everything that I've said today, if you remember these 3 key points, I think you will be right on your way to be an excellent general evaluator. Okay. All right. So I later on I will share with you this GE checklist that is provided by Toastmasters International. But these are some questions that I would try to think about a little bit more deeply when I'm evaluating the meeting. Firstly, is before the meeting, right? Was the meeting agenda provided in advance? Right. Sometimes, do I have to follow up with the VPE, or does the VPE give me the meeting agenda, a day or 3 days before the meeting, and tells me how to get there. The Zoom link is available. How well prepared is the VPE, right? Because I'm an external guest, I've not been to the club before. How does the VPE make sure that I'm well prepared for it? Okay, so that's something that I would think I would look out for. And I also take a look at the meeting agenda, right? Is it neatly done? Some agendas I've seen, can be improved. The alignment a bit off, many typos, and all that. But some agendas are absolutely perfect. Very well written, very well structured. So these are all some suggestions, some areas that I will look at before the meeting starts, right? And during the meeting, so then I will take a look I will start to observe, right? Did the meeting start on time? Are there any guests in the room? Do they feel welcome? If there are any new guests, are they just sitting there by themselves alone? Does any of the club, do any of the club members go and talk to the guests, make them feel welcome? How is the environment like? Is it hospitable? Or whatnot. And of course, the role players, were they familiar with their roles? Would they brief about what they're supposed to do? Or did they only just turn up at the meeting and right on the spot and have to act as an impromptu role player? So because that affects how smoothly run the meeting will be, especially in terms of how well briefed the role players are. So these are all things that I would definitely take a look on and take note of. Then next will be the president's opening address. So this is something that I will always take a look into in terms of how does he or she adequately set the tone, right, of the meeting, right? As the president, it's very important that you're captain of the ship. You have to act, you have to speak like the captain of the ship. Do people listen to you when you are speaking as the president, or is everyone just sort of dozing off like, oh my God? So these are all some of the things I would look at. Another thing will be the Toastmaster of the evening, right? Does she explain the meeting theme? What is the meeting theme about? How is it relevant to us? How is it related to us? What can we take away from the meeting theme? What can we learn from the theme? Why is it important for us? How is it related to Toastmasters, if any? So these are something that I would look at. And also, oftentimes, many of the club meetings, you will have new guests who may not be familiar about Toastmasters. So I will observe whether the TME, how well does he introduce Toastmasters to guests, the history of Toastmasters, what is Toastmasters, how is a regular club meeting run, what can we expect from a club meeting. So the Toastmaster of the evening, as the MC, right, has to do a really good job, right, in explaining what we can expect from the club meeting. And that is the hallmark of a good Toastmaster of the evening. Then next up is the topics master, right? I think I myself have been guilty of this, where when it's my turn to be the table topics master, I just zoom in right in and say, okay, everyone, I have some topics here. Any volunteers, right? But actually, a good topics master will sort of explain, okay, now we are entering into this table topic session. What is the purpose of table topics? We are here to improve our impromptu speaking skills. There is no right or wrong answer. You will be given 2 minutes, and then the green, yellow, and red light will show at 1 minute, 1.5 minute, and 2 minutes. All this kind of purpose and timing of the table topics, so that the guests are aware of what this is, right? And how well were the topics prepared? Were they short and sweet, or were they one paragraph long? I think I attended one meeting before. I think the table topics was about 10 words, like a massive paragraph, and and then the guest was so flabbergasted, like was so stunned by it. I think she had to sort of like read the topics a few times, and then the table topic master had to sort of read it with her and explain to her. So that tells you that it's not so effective if the topic is too long. So I will also want to see, in terms of, when you draft the topics, right, how well can a speaker, when they see the topic for the first time, how well can they grasp it, as opposed to like, what's this, I don't understand, it's grammatically wrong, it's too long, So that's really important, right, for topics to be well prepared. And of course, were guests invited to participate, right? Because we want to encourage participation from any new guests. And also, if members were called on, right, were those members who don't have a role, or members who already have a role, right? Sometimes I've seen in club meetings where the topics master will call on members who are already taking a role, and some members who don't have a role, they were just sitting quietly in a corner and just never said a word, right? Then I was like, well, then what's the point, right, of coming to a club meeting? So I would mention that the topics master should be a bit more attentive, right? Because you have the meeting agenda, who is taking up a role, who isn't, right? And to see that as best as possible, everyone in the meeting room would have an opportunity to speak during the club meeting, right? And the next will be the evaluation session. Did the speech evaluators comment whether the purpose statement was achieved, right? Was it fair? Was it balanced and constructive? And one thing that I would like to add is that oftentimes I've seen GE, they would offer additional evaluation to the project speaker. So the evaluator has already evaluated, then the GE comes in to give some more evaluation to the speaker, but nothing for the evaluator, and I've experienced that myself, and I used to comment and say, hey, I feel very lonely, that the project speaker gets evaluated twice, but nobody evaluated me, you see. So I would really strongly encourage you that when you're a GE, you offer evaluation to the evaluator, right? There is no need to give evaluation to the project speaker, because that has already been done, and you want to be very careful not to contradict. Yeah, I've seen that before, where the evaluator said, oh, your pitch was very good, and then the GE said, actually, you could do something about your vocal variety. I was like, you think from the perspective of the project speaker, right? Wouldn't that poor girl be very confused? Like, right? So we want to avoid any contradiction, right? And we want to make sure that as much as possible, where possible, everyone in the room is given some evaluation. So remember, right, the GE adds value to everybody in the meeting, right? So give your evaluation to the evaluator, not the project speaker. And of course, do pay attention. Were there any first timers taking up meeting roles? So I think if you have time as GE, right, you'll take the time to talk to to the club VPE and say that, oh, can I know if there's any first timers or anyone relatively new, right? Because if you take note of this and if the first timer does well, you want to encourage, right? You want to congratulate first timer and say, well done. I understand this is your first time taking on the role as a grammarian. I just want to say it was a really good job. Being a grammarian is not easy, but you did so well because you were very structured, very clear, and you really picked up some really good points, right? So these kind of small pointers, taking the effort to understand who is experienced, who is new, and gives you more room to gives you greater clarity, right? How you can motivate and inspire others, especially the newer members. Because if you can encourage them, validate them, right, then it will inspire them to keep coming, right, for club meetings. Then that is how a club meeting will thrive, how a club will thrive when the new members and of course the experienced members keep showing up, right, and taking up roles. Okay, so that really is some of the questions that I will take into consideration. Okay, so again, one thing that I want to share with you all is that, I think, as I said earlier, as a GE, right, I feel it's a really important role. And for all of you here in this room, in your own respective clubs, I highly encourage you to always try and find an external general evaluator, right? Because I really feel that it adds value to your club meeting, right? And if every one of you here are invited to be a GE, an external GE, remember this, right? Your impact is so powerful because you inspire greatness. You have the power, the ability, and the wisdom, right, to inspire greatness. And how I want you to remember this is that if everything doesn't turn out well, right, for whatever reason, please remember one thing and only one thing, that it's really not about you. It's about the people at the meeting. Your role is to facilitate an effective learning experience, right? You are there to encourage people, to inspire them, to motivate them. And of course, right, if they've made mistakes or if there's some room for improvement, you are there to point it out and tell them and really encourage them to do better. So that is how, you become a great leader, when you inspire others to do better, right? Do better than what they've done before. So please, I do encourage you to take up this role as a general evaluator in the future. There's so much that you can do as a GE. Okay, and these are some of the tool resources that I would like to share with you. One is the General Evaluator Checklist. So this is from Toastmasters International. It's a general checklist. It also has a script as well if you're acting as a GE for the first time. So it's quite helpful. And another resource is this manual called A Toastmaster Wears Many Hats. And I thought it was really good because it really outlines all the different meeting roles of a club. And then as a GE, you'll be able to go through it and really understand like what is expected of every role player, and that will help you to identify in terms of what are the good points and what are the areas of improvement that you could share to the club when you act as a GE. So I thought it was a really good resource. So do check them out, and I'm sure you'll be on your way to be an excellent general evaluator. So that is the end of my presentation, short and sweet. Yes, within time. So with that, it's free and easy now. I'm happy to take on any questions that you might have. Any questions? Anyone here have any questions?
Hi, YB think it's very clear.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't think I have anything to ask for now.
okay. Good to hear that. Good to hear that.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear.
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Just want to ask, right? If you are becoming a GE, what you will be recording? I mean, when you deliver your GE report that time,
Mm, mm,
how you going to deliver, or you just follow the meeting sequence and
mm.
you give evaluation right after the evaluator speak, or you give together in your report, and how would that be, and what you will be
Mm.
recording in your script lah? Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have
Okay, that's a good point. Thanks a lot, Wei Kang. So normally when it's my turn to deliver the GE's report, I would sort of go through based on the agenda. So I will follow the meeting sequence. So I will start off with saying, okay, did the meeting start on time? And I want wait, let me think. Normally, not before that, before that. Okay, rewind. I will start off with say, thank you very much for having me. And then I will also talk about whether before the meeting, did I get the meeting agenda in advance? Who invited me? Thank you for inviting me. I'll be very polite first. Hospitable guest, and then how and I will also congratulate the VP usually, right? Some of the if the VP is the one who invited me, right, I will sort of talk about what the VPE did well, right, in terms of making sure that I don't get lost. I have all the instructions. I have the meeting agenda, right? And because I was a VPE before, I know that's a lot of work. So I really want to acknowledge all the hard work behind the scenes before the meeting starts, and I really want to do it like right in front during the club meeting itself, right? Because I want everyone to know. You see how hard your VPE work. Not only your VP has to get role player lah, need to get external role player lah, need to make sure this thing Ipo doesn't get lost lah. So much work. So that's the first thing I will do, right? Then that is before the meeting, then I will start with the meeting sequence, right? Whether the meeting started on time, were people warm and hospitable, and whatnot. Then I will, according to the agenda, I'll talk about the president's address, the TME, the table topics master. What did the table topic master do well or not so well? What can be improved. Then the project speeches, I normally don't evaluate anymore, don't say much. I won't say much unless maybe in terms of timing. Timing in the sense that maybe the timer need to do a little bit more. Let's say hypothetically, right? If the speaker went overtime, supposed to finish at 7 minutes, but this speaker spoke for 10 minutes. So maybe I will offer to the timer and say, timer, since you have such enthusiastic project speakers, maybe as a timer, what you could do is for your club is that when the speaker goes for minutes, you need to have something to sort of get the speaker's attention. Maybe have a bell, or maybe all the lights was switched on. So this kind of thing to sort of more for the timer to understand that how can we control time management, right? But I will not comment on the project speeches anymore, right? Because the evaluators would have done that. Then I will also give evaluation on the evaluators, right? How they did, what could they do better and whatnot. Then of course the tag team timer, accounter, and grammarian. So that is my typical GE's report I would normally cover everything within the agenda
Okay. No, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions?
Well, I do not have question, but I would like to point out something that I feel interested, as just now you told that we as a GE shouldn't comment on the speaker, but we should comment or give opinion for the evaluator, which is very true because it so happened that I attended a meeting. And yeah, I can understand that situation where when the speech evaluator give her evaluation and then the general evaluator give another opinion which a bit contradict. It doesn't parallel. So
Kasian the speakers, to do.
yeah, so
No.
thanks for pointing that out because I think that's so relevant, and you also added we as a GE should, point out whether the purpose statement achieved or not. Sometimes we miss that out, right? So
Mm.
yeah, thanks for that. So any other questions? Or
Yeah.
you would like to tell your takeaway, what you like?
Questions.
Yes.
Yes, Arifa.
So it's I mean I've been a general evaluator few times, and the consistent experience that I have is that because usually we go for a new club to
Mm.
visit, like it's our first time visiting the club and we are being invited, and basically we don't even know that what is the club needed. Is it a critical side of us, or is it a motivation that they need, or they need us just to praise them? So I'm quite confused of how should I serve the best for them, because I sometimes quite moody, I'm sometimes quite, I have my own situation and they have their own situation. How do I benefit best? I mean, how to gauge or somehow having hints or clue about the club that the information or sharing that I should give to them. So that will be my questions. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Thanks a lot, Arifa, for that. I think for me, I will just tell myself, you know, try not to have too high expectation. Like, do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? I try not to do that, especially if it's a club I've not attended. I just try and remind myself those three things that I said: embrace differences, be sincere, and raise standards. Right. So I wouldn't say that should I be motivational or critical. I would be both, right? I would be both because if you're a new club means there are a lot of things that you don't know. Then I will need to point it out, lah, right? Because I feel like if I don't tell you some of the areas of improvement, then if you don't know, then you can't change or do something about it. But then I will also have to try and be careful not to give you 10, a long list of weaknesses or improvement and only two good things, right? So I need to be balanced, right? So that's why I would say, to answer your question, whenever I ask it, when I'm a GE, I would just say, how can I raise standards here, right? How can I help you to become better? Yeah. And usually I go from there lah. Any other questions?
Hi, hi, Wabiting. Maybe I'd like to hear from you your evaluation for clubs which consist of young
Mm.
and new members. Your
Have I recently gone for one? Let me think. Yeah, okay. I think so. I think one relatively young club. That one was maybe I think only chartered 2 years ago. But the club was good, even though it was a young club. That club had a lot of energy, right? And the VP was very hardworking. And that club was lucky, even though it was a young and new club, had a very good VPE. So I think when I was GE there, I really focused on that, lah, right? I said, oh, your VP, you're doing such a good job. And another thing about this club was that even though they were new or young, they've been presidents distinguished since day one, right? So that is something that I also highlighted. I say, given that you've only been chartered for 2 or 3 years, you've been presidents distinguished since day one. So well done on that. So these are some of the pointers I will sort of look at, right? What are some of the good things that I would want to congratulate them on? And of course, in terms of the areas for encouragement or improvement, will be things like, what did I talk about? The president, right? I felt the president was a bit flat. So I reminded the president that you have to be a bit more energetic, lah. You're the first person to speak and your energy was so flat. Of course, I didn't say that. I had to rephrase it. I said, you set the tone, please, don't be so flat. So of course I had to rephrase it, but I pointed that. And then of course I also reminded the evaluators lah. Because I think the evaluators, they were good, but some evaluators were not very balanced. They only talked about some of the weaknesses, but none of the strength. I say, so these are some of the suggestions I gave lah. Yeah.
Balance. Thank you.
So I guess if there's no other questions, I don't know. I guess Aina, we can end the workshop early. Give everybody back 7 minutes of the time.
Yeah, okay. So, is it really no one would like to ask questions or want to say anything? Okay. So maybe we can, have a wrap up or a closure for our tonight workshop. All right. First of all, I would like to say thank you so much to Ting. Give her a big round of applause, everyone, for delivering a great workshop. I couldn't say that it is short and sweet, but it is, very fruitful, and all the tips and practices that you suggested is something so relevant, and for me myself, I feel very beneficial for me to carry a GE role. And I like it when you say that yes, as a GE we should accept more of that role, with the intention to inspire greatness to other club, to give value to other club. And for me personally, I would say that from this experience, it can help me to articulate better on whatever I think. Because for me, I have that difficulties. I have ideas, I want to say something, but by having this, it's like a practice on articulating on what you think. And that motivate and inspire the club. So such a wonderful sharing, and thank you so much. So basically, I'd like to mention this. This workshop actually initiated by Tarmizi with the intention to, to help us all to add value in becoming a better GE after this. So thank you everyone for your time and also your support, questions, and give reactions along this meeting. All right, and yeah, I believe that's all. Okay.
Do you want to take picture? Yeah, Wei Kang just reminded. Should we take picture?
Okay. We should. So please turn on your
Yeah.
camera. Can Wei
Yeah.
me to snap the picture? Because I do not know how to take picture.
At the same time, I want to thank you, Ting, for this wonderful. I feel it's a complete guide for general evaluators and me as.
Thank you.
I really
Thank you.
receive so much of tips from you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Have enough. I love your quote. Rest well, sleep well.
Yeah, that's a
Yes.
yeah, that's a
You
good.
have to. You
Yes.
have to. You have to. Yeah. Yeah. Because you're the only one who has to stay awake the whole time. You know that? You cannot zone out.
Okay, let's turn on the camera. Let's take a picture.
So 3, 2, is everyone turning on their cameras? Okay. Yingi and Shakira. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you
Capture.
everyone. All right, I believe that's all. All right. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye. Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Good night.
Good night. Thanks, Arifa. Bye bye.